Dustin, let's chat a little bit about tonight's game.
Here we are. We're here.
Canucks end up winning 62.7% of the faceoffs in that game.
Yeah, they had a good game.
Some possession there. And it felt
They
like the
they turned
entire
it around
third
there.
period was almost played in the Chicago zone. The shots were 7-7 in the third, but it felt like it was mostly in the Chicago zone.
Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely felt like the Canucks controlled the play from the second the first intermission ended.
Then you got the other stat I wanted to point out, 35 hits by the Canucks tonight to Chicago's 14.
Yep.
Boys running
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, no, that was great. Really good to see. Really good to see the guys push hard and play physical and not take any penalties too. Only the one minor penalty on the Canucks tonight, so
Brännström with a goal. What'd you think about that one? Because it was a beautiful play. Like it was a pass from Sherwood across to Petey. Petey missed it, goes off the end boards, bounces right to Brännström. Doesn't stop it or anything, just walks into it and shoots it. How often do you see that happen?
I mean, I think it's happened a time or two. We've seen back in the day, Christian Ehrhoff used to step into one or two. He'd step in right over the blue line and hammer the thing. So, it's nice to see Brandstrom doing that. Petey almost even got a piece of that one. But Brandstrom overall had probably the best game of the Canucks tonight after his first defensive gaff there. He drew the penalty that led to our first goal by getting choke slammed there in front of the net by driving hard and pushing the play. So, and then to get the game winner, that's just great. Great hockey. He's really worked hard to earn his place in this lineup as the second best puck moving defenseman on this team.
And then his defensive partner, it's interesting because obviously Brännström looked great. And I felt like Juleson looked shaky all the way to the very end.
Yes. Yeah, that was Brandstrom had to elevate his game a lot tonight, playing with a partner that's not played a lot of hockey recently. And that showed. Juleson was having a tough time out there. He played okay physically, but controlling the puck, he struggled for sure.
There's so much like the other one I wanted to comment on was it feels like Hronek still is. There's something wrong with his play. Like he just not being hard enough on the puck? Is it that simple? Like he's just not being hard enough on the puck?
I don't know what it is because last year he was so effective offensively early in the season, and now it just seems, yeah, I don't know if he needs to be harder on the puck. I haven't put my finger on it yet. And I don't think any of the analysts have either, because he hasn't really changed the way he plays, other than maybe now that he's got the contract, he thinks he has to do more and he's forcing it. And maybe he just needs to relax and think less, because some players just play better on instinct when you're not thinking and you're just letting the game come to you. If you're trying to push the game, which maybe Hronik is trying to do right now because he knows he's not having the greatest start, um, bad habits start to leak in and you start to do make the little mistakes, and maybe he just needs to simplify his game a little bit.
As well as things too, because it's even funny, we keep on talking about Brännström, but when Brännström shoots the puck, he hits the net and he gets it through crowds. And I feel like Hronek's going old school where really the slap shot is a dying shot in the NHL. Like you don't see a lot of it.
Hmm.
Is Hronek just he needs to start just hitting the net? Because I'll look it up, but I think he missed probably 4 or 5 shots, just completely missed the net, no reason for it. He just needs to start hitting the net. If do you agree?
Absolutely. And the big no-no miss is the one where you're short side and you shoot it over the net in the far corner and goes out the other end of the offensive zone and down into your end. And that happened a few times tonight. Hronik and DeBrusk. DeBrusk is another player there. Yeah, he got the 3 goals in 3 games, but that's it. He needs to find some consistency in his game. He needs to lose that moniker of being a streaky player, and he needs to figure it out as well. Now that Petey's figured out his game, I think it's time that the fans start piling on DeBrusk a little bit here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time to start picking on DeBrusk and Hronik, I think. Although DeBrusk does have 7 assists. So, and we've talked about this a little bit where, sometimes Sidney Crosby is going to be scoring 50 goals a year. Sometimes he's going to be going for 100 assists, right? So, I mean, DeBrusk is
Hmm.
still getting the assists, but even that line together with Sherwood, DeBrusque, and Petey looked really effective out there. And Pedersen looked like he was on a heater tonight.
Yeah, it did. It looked like Petey could have had 3 or 4 goals tonight. That line looks really good. The one thing about DeBrusque and Sherwood is they both are able to play physical hockey and generate some space for Petey, which he
Mm-hmm.
hasn't had the luxury of before. And so that line, a couple more games, might really find some extreme chemistry and start burying the puck a lot. And I really liked Lecker play tonight. He's grown already as a player. He's playing well defensively. He doesn't look out of place at all in the top six, which is incredible for for a guy to just come out of the AHL. He's only played 7 games in the AHL, I think, and fit in so quickly, it's just really nice to see. And I think that line will start to find more chemistry as well. We saw a couple of good moments with him and Miller again tonight, so. Um, I would look to see him in the lineup probably for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, when Besser, hopefully, when he gets back, hopefully sooner rather than later, that's going to be a really tough choice because, I mean, you probably at this point, if you're, let's say Besser gets better tomorrow, you're probably pulling Hoglander out of the lineup at this point, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Well, it depends on cap space as well,
Yeah.
because then you got to do a bit of juggling. But yeah, I would say that Hoglander would probably be the one that you would pull out right now, given the way everyone's playing hockey.
So let's hop on over to the baby Canucks because we didn't get a chance to talk about them. Let's first
Absolutely.
talk about the game yesterday, which was a
Hmm.
they stuck in it. I don't think they got blown out. The score probably looks a little worse than it actually was. What can you tell us about how the Canucks performed yesterday?
Yeah, so on the scoreboard, it looks bad. Obviously, 4-1 loss, but it's closer than it was, like you said. It was 1-1 after 2 periods. Coachella got a goal early in the third to make it 2-1, and it was just a goalie battle for most of the game. There were two empty netters in the last 2 minutes by Coachella to make it 4-1. So, a lot of offense is missing from the baby Canucks with Ratu and Lekkerimäki up with the big club. Tolo had a great game. He stopped 29 of 31 shots faced. So that's a positive. Seeing Tolo Pilo start to play a little more solid after some shaky stuff at the beginning. Breezeball scored his first of the season as the lone Abbey goal.
Mhm.
So there was a bit of a positive from that Friday night game. So they had that 4-1 loss Friday night, and then they went into game 2 today. They played at 4 o'clock this afternoon and lost a 4-3 heartbreaker.
Ooh,
Um, they the game was 3-3 late. Late penalties by Baines and Oman led to a 5-on-3. Uh, Abby almost killed it off, but Coachella scored with 9 seconds left on the power play and 36 seconds remaining in the game.
heartbreaker.
Um, yeah, so that was a tough one. Ty Young made his first pro start tonight. Unfortunately, the first 3 shots he faced found the back of the net.
Oh,
Um, the first one was a bit unlucky. The second one he probably wants back. And then the third one came in the second period. Abbotsford was actually playing really well defensively and limiting the shots that Coachella was getting on net. But Ty Young maybe a little nervous in the first start, but found his game in the second period. Abbotsford battled hard and to tie the game at the end of the second. It was 3-3 after two. But one of the trends that's been becoming an issue are penalties. They need to play smarter hockey, keep their feet moving, and it's the veterans too that are taking the penalties. Baines, Oman, guys like that should know better. And Abbotsford has now lost 5 of their last 6, so they are trending in the wrong direction. They need to tighten up defensively and also need to find some more scoring. And once they figure that out, once Besser comes back, they'll probably get either Ratu or Lekkerimäki back, one of the two, so that'll help. But obviously, with the transition we're going through and having our young guys ready to make the jump to the big club, it damages the offense down in the minor leagues.
Yeah, that's tough. Like, I mean, we talk about Dakota Joshua coming back in the lineup. We talk about Lekermacki coming in the lineup for Vancouver. But I mean, and Ratu playing up here as well. And that's the thing is now you got a whole bunch of different line combinations down there with a bunch of guys who haven't been playing consistency. So that's probably going to take them a minute to figure each other out, to be able to even just handle it, right? Because we talk about playing in the AHL. Like last night's game was a 7 o'clock start. Tonight's game was a 4 o'clock start. So there was less than 24 hours in between those games. That's got to be tough on those guys' legs.
Absolutely. Like it can be a grueling schedule in the AHL, especially when you go on the road trips, which the Baby Canucks are just about to do. They're about to head on a 6 game road trip starting November 19th. They head back down to California to play Bakersfield once, and then they're over to, I believe, Nevada to play against the Henderson Silver Knights.
Yep.
So they got a couple games there. So, and then those games are back to back night after travel on a bus and stuff like that. So it's tough stuff. These young guys, they really gotta focus hard and bring their A game every night. And it's tough with the revolving lineup, as you say, different guys playing each night, playing with different guys. Um, on even the same night because some nights they're running the 11-7 thing depending on who's hurt and who's not hurt. Still no updates on Friedman or Patera, who are both out with injuries. So we hope to hear some good news on them soon as well, which would be big boosts to the club.
Yeah, you got to think Friedman might be out for a while after that terrible incident that happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Got Tuesday, November 19th. They got the Bakersfields. Then they pop over November 22nd against the Silver Knights in Henderson. Playing back to backs again Friday, Saturday. And again, playing 7 o'clock on the Friday, 6 o'clock on the Saturday. So not even 24 hours.
Hmm.
And then playing again on the 26th, the 29th, and the 30th. So those games, it's not baseball. You can't play the same way that you do in baseball. So they're getting packed in there. Playing San Jose, Barracudas, back to back on the Friday, Saturday. So it looks like a lot of those weekend back to backs for the Abbey Canucks coming up.
Yeah. Yep. Some tough games coming up. They'll have to figure out this defensive play and figure out how to stay out of the box, and that comes number one with keeping your feet moving. So
I want to just quickly jump back over to the Vancouver Canucks because
yeah,
we
of
always
course.
joke about Bedard wanting to play for the Canucks. And he didn't exactly pass the puck, but you could make a case that he deserved an assist on that JT Miller empty net goal. You got to
Well, there
feel
you go.
bad for the kid, right?
You do. I mean, obviously, you want that to go better in front of your friends and family. It's your first game in the rink that you grew up watching pro hockey and admiring all the pros and dreaming of one day playing on that ice surface. You want the fairy tale Hollywood ending of getting a goal or getting the game winner, hat trick, or whatever. But you know what? Maybe we'll save those Cinderella stories for when Bedard's wearing the right colors.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for too.
You got to feel bad for the kid. It's got to be frustrating, um, considering what the expectations were for his career and the lack of support and other talent the Blackhawks have provided him to succeed. Um, McDavid has Draisaitl as a buffer. Bedard needs that buffer, and there's no one really there to give that to him. And so he's feeling, I think, the weight of the world on his shoulders that he needs to score every goal and push the offense, especially when the offense is struggling. And at his age, his game just hasn't developed enough to do that yet. So he's learning some tough lessons really fast, and I see a frustration in him that hopefully hope for a kid that he doesn't have to demand a trade, because that's just not fun for anybody. But obviously, as a Canucks fan, I would welcome it.
Yeah. Somebody in chat earlier was saying, I hope he pulls a John Tavares, talks about his Canucks pajamas that he wore growing up, right?
Yeah, he obviously wanted that to go better, and he's going to have a great career. We're going to see him play lots in Vancouver, and he's going to dominate us lots as he grows up. And so we need to take these moments where we're playing against him and it's a win, and take them right now with a grain of salt because I know in the future that's probably not going to be the case. This kid is going to be a force, and it's going to hurt in when he comes here at some point.
Yeah. Just going over the 3 stars. The Chicago goaltender actually gets one of the 3 stars, which I'm not surprised by. He did hold them in there. Soderblom, getting the
Hmm.
3rd star. We haven't even talked about it yet. Shilov's
Yep.
shutout, 2nd star of the game. Well, how big is that for a guy like Shilov's, who everyone was starting to question whether or not he was a one-hit wonder?
It was huge for him to get a win tonight. He played so well. After that first goal, I mean, really, and that first goal really wasn't necessarily his fault. He made the first save, which is the goalie's number one job, is to make the first save, and then everyone else is supposed to pick up a guy so that the second chance doesn't happen. Um, Over the rest of the game, he made some really, really key stops to keep the game 1-1 when it was close. And yeah, there was moments in the first two where Chicago could have put two or three extra ones by him. It's nice to see because he struggled so hard out of the gate. Maybe this is some confidence for him he can build on, and he can maybe take a bit of the load off of Lankin and moving forward here while we wait for Demko to come off of IR.
Yeah, I mean, we all know who was to blame for that goal. That was Juleson going into the spin cycle in front of Shilov. So, and did I say
Exactly.
Shilov's got a shutout? I think I said that. He didn't actually get a shutout. His goals against average was 1. I was reading that as his save percentage, but obviously Chicago did score tonight. And then the number 1 star, we already talked about it, Elias Pettersson. Oh my God, I'm never gonna get that right. Elias Pettersson gets the goal. And it was just out there throwing hits, looking really good, driving that line. He really deserves that 1st star, doesn't he?
He does, and he is looking like he's got his confidence back. I know he's deleted his social media accounts from his phone, which is probably a huge weight off his mental shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of bad stuff going around. You know how bad Canucks Nation can be when it's like hot or cold. It was really nice to hear the fans showing him some love tonight, chanting his name
Mm-hmm.
after they've been so hard on him to start the season. He's a star player. He's going to figure it out. He was coming off an injury, a knee injury. He had to learn to trust that knee again. And we talked about it. I said, give him 20 games, give the whole team 20 games. We're not quite there yet. And we're starting to trend in the right direction. The first period, we need to forget about. The second and third were more the Canucks we saw last year, dominating defensively, physically, controlling the face-offs and just pushing the play and playing the way we want to play.
The last thing I'll touch on before I let you go for the night is looking at that percentage rate. The Canucks won, what was it, 63% of the faceoffs. And if you break it
Hmm.
down, if you were to pull Teddy Bluger out of that conversation, because Bluger actually had a tough night in the faceoff circle, he only won 36% of his draws. Danton Heinen actually took a couple, won 50%. And then JT Miller, 63%. You're like, wow, JT Miller has 63% win percentage. Atu Ratu had 88% winning percentage in the faceoff dot tonight, which is absolutely unreal. Uh,
Yes.
this is a man that I think is going to be winning a lot of faceoffs for this team moving forward. Atu Ratu winning it on both sides of the ice.
Yeah, and when you look right behind him, you have PD at 73%.
Yeah.
When you got those numbers coming out of your middle, that's controlling the play. And we talked about last game when they were all below 50% and we didn't control the puck. And that was a lot of you don't dictate the play. And that was a big difference tonight. At the second and third period, we started winning more of the faceoffs. We controlled the puck. We kept it in the Chicago zone, and we our possession numbers are probably really high tonight too, versus Chicago. So just overall, after that first period, the Canucks really drove the play. I'd love to see some more offense and some more goals going in that aren't in empty netters. But I think it will come. This is a very positive move in the right direction, and hopefully we can just build on it tomorrow night and really stick it to the Predators, who have obviously struggled out of the gate to start the season.
I said that was one last thing, but one last thing I'll say is tonight they rolled those lines, man. They had all four lines playing, and that's a
Yep.
great thing to see, despite the fact that they got scored on first like they always have. Very important for a team to be able to roll four lines, because on a back-to-back, you want to have fresh legs tomorrow, and that looks like that's what Tocchet was able to pull off tonight with his line deployment.
Yeah, absolutely. And we already talked about how Shelovs was going to go tonight so that Lankinen could go against the more potent Predators tomorrow, who have the scoring threats that Chicago don't. They just haven't found the chemistry yet. And once they do, the whole league needs to look out, because Nashville will be dangerous. Let's not fool ourselves. This is just a start of a team with a bunch of new players, and it will click eventually. So we need to be on our toes and come out hard, get the first goal, and just push the play, build on these last two periods, and just come out fast and hard tomorrow night, and bury a few in the first period.
Cool. Awesome, buddy. Thanks for stopping by for the post game show. I'm glad we could get it to work on Facebook here. And we'll talk to you in the
Absolutely.
first intermission tomorrow.
Sounds good, man. Have a great rest of your night.
Nothing is perfect.